All right, everyone. We are on it, and we're waiting for the little blue light to go off so I can put the car in drive. 3-day weekend, because I just had a belly full of it last week. Hurt my back a little bit, so Thursday night called in sick. Plus it was my wife's birthday Saturday, so we had a gathering over at her parents' house with our 2 children and their boyfriend and girlfriend. There's some limbs down in the yard. It had so much rain. It was pouring down on the way over to her parents' house. Got the internet fixed. Very shittily, I might add. They'd strung a orange wire down the road, which any delinquent could come along and just snap. Oh, somebody will come by sometime in the future and bury the line. They're going to bury the line? Are they going to cut through the water line? Are they going to cut through the natural gas pipe? Do they know what they're doing? Does anyone at the Windstream company know what they're doing? It's unbelievable. My wife wants to live out in the middle of nowhere, in a cabin in the middle of a vast emptiness in the middle of Montana somewhere. I'm sorry, I've gotten to the point where I have to have certain amenities, and things are bad enough here. Our internet provider here is shit. Whatever kind of connection to the internet we have is like the, a big tree fell over. Okay, my God. The storm was bad. Anyway, whatever kind of internet connection we have is like the second rate. The best is only available in the cities. Anyway. Looks like Mary is having a gathering at her place. I was going to drop off some books at her little free library, but I'm going to start calling those things the free book box, because little free library is just too much of a mouthful. Hey, redneck. So I did some good painting this weekend. Finished all the drawings for issue 22. And basically finished writing a new song. But I'm not going to make the mistake I did last time. I'm going to play it many times before I do the final recording. A couple months ago I read a story about how Tom Petty wrote some song, and the story said that he played it over and over for several weeks until he got the lyrics correct, because he wasn't happy with some of it. I think I'm done. I unsubscribed today from Bill's Box of Sound, and I'm going to be honest about this. One of the reasons that the channel appealed to me is because on his Saturday evening live stream, it was one of the very few live streams that I felt I was able to or willing to participate in the chat. And there was, I just felt like I'd reached the end of the rope with anything I wanted to add. There was some kind of hiccup in the broadcast of the, that's not the right word, but anyway, the broadcast of the stream with the chat. It was about 10 minutes delay between the two, and that irritated me. And I never got to see if he responded to my the one thing I wrote. And when I went back the next day to check on the chat, the whatever you want to call it, the archive of it, they had deleted most of everything except for just like the first two posts. So that irritated me. And second, the other day, he posted, there's some sort of trend going on YouTube of people posting the 10 albums they listen to the most. And he had put out a video of his 10 albums he listens to a lot. Not the most, but just 10 albums you listen to a lot. So I responded with a comment saying what mine were. And I don't know how it's gone. Maybe I fucked up and I didn't post it. Maybe I don't know, but it's gone. So I just felt like this one fewer thing in my my subscriptions, which is fine with me. I don't subscribe to very many things. And I'll try to remember what the 10 albums were and mention them here. I should have done that. I should have thought of doing that. But I'll try to do that next time if I can remember. I'll tell you what, I'll try to remember it right now. It was Black Sabbath 13, which is their last album. Van Halen's last album, Different Kind of Truth. I wrote, this is sort of a cheat, any of the 6 albums by the Miles Davis Second Quintet. Death Magnetic by Metallica. Joni Mitchell, Hissing of Summer Lawns. Sade, Love Deluxe. Shit, I can't think what the other 4 were. If I think of them, I'll think of them. Alright, speaking of which, let's go ahead and go through what's in the damn bag here. This is the first disc in the Anton Webern collection I got, box set I got a while back. This is Slayer. This is God Hates Us. No, this is Christ Illusion. Steely Dan, Katie Lied. Beastie Boys, Ill Communication. Keith Richards, Main Offender. His second solo album. High on Fire, Blessed Black Wings. Motley Crue, Decade of Decadence, their first greatest hits package. And I know what I said last time, but here I go again. Tom Petty and Heartbreakers, the soundtrack to She's the One. I'm not familiar with this album at all. It's a soundtrack album. Duran Duran's Medazzaland album. And back where we started. Okay, fine. And I gotta tell you, I hate to say this, but I'm kind of getting bored with George Hawkall Schmidt. I don't know if it's just a mood I'm going through, but I tried to listen to Dead Air number 9 or whatever the hell it is, and I just thought they're talking about things that I don't really care about. I don't care about video games, and some of the movies they discuss are things that I'm not interested in hearing talked about, and I don't know. And the parody video he did of people who want to tear down the new Barbie movie, I just thought it was sort of forced. So, I mean, I'll probably wind up listening to it, but I was just, I don't know. When the internet was out, I was listening to the radio through my MP3 player run through the speakers in my Playroom studio, and found out that at 3 in the morning the local NPR station starts playing the BBC. I thought they had nothing but orchestral music through the whole night. So I was like, okay, this is pretty neat. Listened to a lot of Peep Show over the weekend. Again, some Dr. Katz. And I finally just have resigned myself that painting takes a long time, especially the way I do it. The way I paint has, over the years, evolved. Don't pull out in front of me, please don't. Has evolved to the point where basically after the first couple of layers of paint, I'm basically doing watercolors because the paint is that thin. I've tried to do regular watercolors, with real watercolor paint on paper, and I can't seem to get the hang of it, what you're supposed to do. But with acrylics thinned down, I'm achieving some of those effects. Although there is some wild randomness in the way that the paint dries. If you really slop it on there wet, I have to paint with the canvas laying in my lap. I'm thinking about bumping up to a larger size canvas, and when I do that, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to clear off some space on one of the tables. Come on, folks, let's try to make it through the green light, okay? I know the phone is so compelling. We foresaw this years ago, decades ago, that everyone would one day carry around their own personal, miniature, portable television set. And we already knew how addictive the television was at that time. Finished reading On the Road over the weekend for like the 4th or 5th time. And it's interesting. It's a pre-television era. They were mad for bebop and post-bop jazz. And at one point, the Neil Cassidy characters talking about how, as we get closer to the East Coast, the radio will pick up stations that play nothing but bop. And he was all excited. Kind of the way that people would later get excited about rock and roll and heavy metal. I've often said that there's a parallel between the way that people really got into and analyzed and followed technically proficient saxophone players and other instrumentalists in jazz at that time, with the way that people would later really dig virtuoso heavy metal electric guitar players. I remember back in the 80s there was just this constant talk, who's the best guitar player, who's going to be the new guitar player for Ozzy, or who's going to replace so and so in this band, and there was that's the thing about grunge. Grunge really was an offshoot of metal, but they dropped all that shit. They dropped all that. Well, every song has to have a guitar solo that's going to be the next competitor to Van Halen's greatest efforts, Think what else. Boy, I don't know if I'm so pissed off I didn't win the big lottery jackpot, because I want to get out of this state so bad. Every day when you step foot out of the house, the heat, the humidity hits you. Don't come to Georgia, people. It is a swamp. A fetid swamp. The heat is horrible. The humidity is horrible. there's a liquor store right ahead of me that they spent months, like a year and a half ago, they spent months and months building. It took them forever to build it. Thor's Liquor and Spirits, or whatever the hell it's called. They spent all this time putting this sign out front that's supposed to look like Thor's hammer. Nobody ever goes in there. There's usually one or two cars for the employees, and that's it. Nobody else is ever in there. I think that their intention was that they'd have a lot of walk-up traffic, because right up the road is like one of the many poor people sections here in Athens. But I never see anybody in there. I never see anybody driving in there or walking in there. I don't know what people think when they start a business. I think everybody thinks that getting into the bar trade or restaurant trade or liquor store trade is going to be easy money. All you have to do is invest in the building and in the stock, and then sit back and let the profits roll in. Oh, fuck. I found this great big thermos, the Bubba brand. I found one on the side of the road. Just barely nicked by falling off somebody's car. And I meant to bring it with me, put it in my car. I forgot to bring it. I also forgot to mention to my wife that, we don't wear our shoes in the house. That's just something what we do. And we basically insist that when people come over to visit, they take off their shoes also. So when we go to somebody else's house, we take off our shoes, whether they insist upon that or not. Anyway, so when we go over to my in-laws' house on Saturday evening, took off our shoes, and my son's girlfriend revealed that she had mismatched socks on. And I'm assuming deliberately, because one was like pink and green striped, and the other one was something, also flashy. And I thought, there's more to her than I thought, because I thought that was kind of cool that she did that. God damn it, just get out of the road. Jesus, I really don't care for this detect-o-matic thing with the cruise control in my car, or if the guy in front of you slows down. I mean, to a certain extent it's okay, but it's irritating. The little A button you have to push to stop it from dropping down to super idle at a red light is irritating too. Beep. My wife sent me a news item. The schools in one of the many Atlanta counties have started a rule that the students may not talk at lunch and may not talk during class changes. And parents are upset about it. I don't know what in the hell is going on in this country. Saw a video, half of it maybe, kind of skimmed through it. It was called "Why Americans Are So Dumb," and it was some British guy, I think, maybe, somebody from Europe, I think, going through this list of reasons, and they didn't hit the main reason, and that's because at a certain point in the 20th century, Americans began to realize that the more educated one got, the less likely one was to adhere to not only traditional Christianity, but the traditions of our grandfathers and so forth. And so they began to back away from education, back away from it, to the point now where kids learn very little in school. And they keep, they're baffled as to why everybody's so stupid, but they never hit upon that point. And so they think, well, increased discipline in this or that area, that will be the answer. Americans are extremely superstitious about the wealth of this country and about the privileges we have, the luxuries we have. And they think, well, it must be because God Almighty has blessed us. And if we ever turn our backs on God, then all of this luxury and wealth will be taken away from us. That's really it. Oh, before the show ends, I want to mention something. Democracy is more than just one man, one vote. It's more than just, well, the people get to decide who their leaders are and what the leaders will do. Inherent in the democratic principle is the idea that everyone is equal before the law. That is just inherent in it. It means that supposedly a person with no money has just as many rights and just as much standing before the law as Jeff Bezos or Elon or Zucky Baby or the Koch brothers. And that is the reason that Christians and the Republican bedfellows are increasingly wanting to destroy democracy. Increasingly becoming suspicious of democracy. It's why they increasingly praise dictators like Viktor Orban and Putin. Because they want the billionaires to have more rights. And this also feeds back to the Christianity thing, because clearly they wouldn't be billionaires unless the Lord of the universe had granted them that boon. Jesus. Alright, we're just about at the end of the show here. Let me check the time. I can't see a damn thing. My eyes are getting worse and worse. Alright, I guess we're about out. I guess I'll see you later. Bye-bye.